The Hero Network Show is brought to you by Escalate Performance Solutions, your partner in improving and growing your organization. Elevate your performance. Achieve your potential. Learn more at www.wescalate.com.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg Compian. I'm the owner of Compian Funeral Home, and I'm a local businessman here in Houston's East End. And I'm coming before you today, reaching out. And I tell you what, as a Houstonian, as a proud Houstonian, and as a businessman, I'm reaching out to the business community and to civic members and everyone else. We need to address some of these issues that are going on in the community, but in order to address them, we need to take ownership on them and be part of it and sit back and actually analyze this. We can't depend on anyone to do this for us. We have to take ownership in this and make some decisions to make our community safer, better, and brighter, for the brighter education and brighter future for these youth, and get them away from all this activity that's just it's a race to the bottom. And therefore, getting surrounded around good business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, but more than any, giving them some options. We're coming into the holiday season, and we have a lot to be thankful for coming into the holiday season. But let's be honest. There's a lot of people out there hurting in the community, and with that said, we need to ask ourselves what we can do to make Houston better, be Houston strong. And I'm here reaching out. I'm crying out to the local people in this community of Houston to join us in this cause that's very well needed. We're putting a coalition together, and we're putting our heads together because we really, really need to do something about all the problems that are rampant in our community right now. So I ask you to join out, take a stand. Let's quit depending on people, and let's take ownership in this, and let's make this thing happen. Thank you very much.
Hello, Houston, and hello, world. This is Vicki Cruz with my co-host, Victor Escalante. And so for today's segment, we have our very own Houston Fire Chief, Mr. Thomas Munoz. Welcome.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you.
Welcome. You know, you joined the fire department. When was it? How long?
When I got confirmed, it was about back in August. Barely got here.
So you just got here?
Well, not got here. I just got appointed as a fire chief. Yeah.
And you are putting off fires already?
Creating
and putting them up.
Every day, yes.
No, that's great. So we were talking earlier, we were just here just kind of talking about his background, and I'd like him to share that with you all, a little bit about who you are, where you come from. You talked about coming from the Valley.
Yeah, I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley up in Pharr, Texas, which is, a lot of people aren't familiar, but it's near McAllen, Texas, so it's right in that area. So yeah, it's about 6 hours from here if anybody doesn't know, but yeah, near South Padre area, that type of stuff.
Okay, so then you said what brought you to Houston was?
Yeah, the University of Houston. I decided to come to University of Houston, got accepted, and now here I am, right?
Yeah.
So
now here you are. No, that's great. Well, no, we welcome you. And so I know, Victor, you have any questions? Because he's always full of questions. Go ahead, Victor's
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So tell us, Chief, what prompted you to come out of retirement to take this position?
So let me just give a quick synopsis of my career, right? I started with Houston back in '93. Then retired after 24 years, took the job as a Homeland Director in the city of Texas City, And then I was there 5 years, and the opportunity came back to be the Deputy Director of Homeland as well as the Emergency Management Coordinator. So I did that, and then of course the new administration, and little did I know that, you know, the mayor was gonna appoint me, and it's love working for the mayor, Whitmire, and so now here. So I never officially retired, I just went on to a different career path.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
So I have a follow-up question for you. So in that position, in those roles that you've had, you've obviously looked at the safety and the care of children and families, because that's what this is about.
This is all about.
The focus is on children and families. Tell us, what surprised you the most in those roles about children and families?
So, you know, one of the key things is one of my underlying strategic plans, which is, when you read a strategic plan, I always put the word compassion, right? And growing up extremely poor, it is something that I've focused up, and I still do focus a lot on that. And I think when you look at children and you look at families, you know, there's a bigger spectrum. I got to look at the socioeconomic status. I got to look at the areas, and so much that we have to look at. But one thing that surprised me is that, you know, our population size, right? What is that? Do we educate the child and the families, and then there's first generation, you know, here. So there's a lot that I learned, you know, even just doing even here. The other issue is not children and families, but the vulnerable population, the elderly. You know, those are the things that I look at a lot from my previous career. My other career at the same time as I was at the Houston Fire Department was the U.S. Coast Guard, and I retired as a commander from them. And going to all these major disasters, you know, my last deployment was in Puerto Rico, which was Hurricane Maria, and then, of course, Katrina. And so you saw a lot of
Need.
the need, but sometimes I learned that that it's easy to say evacuate, or it's easy to say buy this to be ready, but then you got to look at the socioeconomic status. I've been very blessed that I was appointed by the White House and the FEMA administrator to be part of the National Advisory Council, and that's one of the key things we focus on. It's a lot easier to say, but it's harder to do in some scenarios. So that, growing up extremely poor in government housing, makes me understand that, right? That it's not just as easy as, you know, okay, we'll just leave, you know, get money from the bank and we move on. So those are the things that are my driving force in everything I do.
Absolutely. And so what do you think, I mean, you were here during the time, so you came here to Houston, you were here during Harvey?
I was in the city of Texas City during Harvey.
You were in Texas City, so you saw the good run of it, of everything that
everything,
happened.
you know, doing more for less, with less, and obviously we didn't have the resources we had here, but you know, city of Texas City is a very resilient city, and so yeah, we had to do what we had to do, right?
Oh, absolutely. And so based on what's happened to Harvey, what is the fire department doing now to ensure that our families and our children are in a safer place? Are there other resources available for the families and children or seniors or anyone watching the show now?
So one of the key things that we've done is, ironically, this morning I was having a meeting, our communications meeting with our own staff, and then how do we do the internal communication and then do the external, right? External including the education. Hey, this is what we have to do. This is where you have to go. The other piece that I'm really proud of when I took over OEM, when I was assigned there, Office of Emergency Management, was that we started doing the messaging in Spanish, right? And that's one of the key things for us, that, you know, and then, but I realized that the city of Houston is, you know, the most diverse city in the country. So we met with the general consulates from all these different countries, 98 to be exact, and we started passing that message out so they could be the trusted source that passes that information out. Have a great relationship with the general consulate in Mexico, continuously talk, do a lot of safety work with them as well, and how do we get that message. But you know, that's the key thing, is that I want to ensure that everybody is getting that information. So that's from that side. For the Houston Fire Department side, it's communication, right? We have 700 square miles that we got to handle. We have all these firefighters that are, you know, they're the pillar in some of in the communities. People know where the fire stations are at. So we're looking at everything as like, strategically, and I'm talking about now my military training, is how do we divide and conquer the city, right?
Right.
Because just because one part of the city floods doesn't mean that another part is going to flood. Those that do flood, the socioeconomic, what do we have to focus, a vulnerable population? So it's a lot of the situational awareness that just this morning I had that meeting that we got to ensure that we understand our surroundings, we understand the people in those surroundings. What can or can they do? Do they need the extra help? The vulnerable populations, I'm big on that. And why do I say that? We have a lot of nursing homes, approximately 300 in the city of Houston. We have the independent assisted living homes, which totally different legal definition. Sometimes the word assistant is not really there. We saw it there in Derecho, and we saw it in the borough, where some of this, where you expect the people to take care of those individuals, the elderly that are living in those communities, to be taken care of by the, and the mayor has been very, very loud on that, if it says independent assistant living, when during the worst of times, then it's time to start assisting.
Correct.
And so that's one thing that we took on now. We actually met with them and to identify and pre-identify those areas that might need some extra help. But the other piece too is to make sure they're not forgotten, right? That they have somewhere to call, and we have to start rescuing them or taking them out of harm's way, because sometimes it's just, they're left behind.
Correct. And I know, in speaking with you and learning about you and your past as well, how you were raised as well, you made mention to your childhood involving with, is it okay if I, the foster care? The foster care.
Well, CPS was involved a lot, and that's fine, For me, it gives me more of that empathy and understand that, and I'm really blessed that happened.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a strong believer. It doesn't break you, it makes you, right? And people are like, hey, the scars are when people try to break you but couldn't. And that's always good, because it allows me now to have that empathetic heart towards people that need it, right? It's you never know when that person's going to need that hug or, that extra help. I remember in Puerto Rico, we landed, went out, and it was just, in Puerto Rico is just something like I'd never seen before. A lot of beauty, but during a disaster, there was a lot of disaster. And I remember, I'll never forget, this lady, I get off, and I just went up to say, "Cómo le puedo ayudar? How can I help you?" And all she said, after like 7 days of no real human contact, she goes, "I just need a hug," right?
Wow.
So those, not the water, but I just need a hug. Oh. And I think sometimes the human compassion piece gets forgotten. And for me, I'm glad that happened, because then, the person who really took me in, she always used to hug me all the time. I'm like, "Why you always hug me?" I was 13, and she goes, I got 13 years to make up, right? So now it's like you pay it forward. So it's really good, and I think in that it shows you can do one or two things. That's either dwell on it or use it as to better yourself and help others.
Absolutely.
Because you know how it feels, right?
No, and then your story. I mean, you have such a powerful story, considering everything you went through, you've gone through, and then now to just hear you say, "Hey, I have 2 master's degrees." I mean, all the successes, everything you've ever done, not just, professionally, but voluntarily, just giving up and sacrificing a lot of who you are. Yeah. And so I'm excited to say, like, man, John Whitmire, Mayor, brought you in here, identified you as someone that can lead us and to bring in any other solutions. And I think that we're very fortunate to have you.
Yeah, and, I'm very blessed.
This is where we're at. It's like, this is why you're here, to say, hey, what is it that we can do to make Houston stronger, to create stronger homes and families, and because this is what we're about. And because of your position and what you do, it creates that partnership with us to say, hey, family, these are the resources. This is our leader. This is who is, leading. How many firemen do we have now?
Right now we have 3,400, but we're supposed to have close to 4,000. So we'll talk about
600 short. We're going to talk about that.
About 600 short.
Exactly. We're going to talk about that here shortly. So if you are, if youth that are looking for work, or we're going to have more for you for that. But in the meantime, I know Victor right now has a question. Diga.
You know where my mind goes to, Vicki? It's
What's
like future speaker to
Oh,
our
yeah.
hero children.
Oh, we already know
It's
that.
like,
We're about
this is
to.
an example.
Yes.
Well, no, I
Ya
think
pono trabajar.
Yeah.
no, it's not fun hearing that, as a third grader, I think I told you, Vicki, I was told I couldn't read past the 6th grade reading level, put them off to the side, I was a very weak kid, this and that. And, and I wound up now getting educated, getting a track scholarship and those type of things that, unless it's God himself, I'm always said, I'm not going to let one person define me in a negative way. And I think it's not where you start, but where you finish and where you continue.
That's right. So you were your own hero already. Because what we do with hero, what it stands for, it's being helpful, encouraging, respectful, and on task, right? So we teach these principles and these values to these little ones, not to just carry them into the homes, right? Because we know these days now most homes are with single parenting, being raised by grandparents, and what have you. So then we also have where we teach our children how to carry these values into the schools and into the community. But most importantly, themselves, right? How do we help ourselves? How do we teach our children how to encourage themselves? As you know, I'm sure you get those calls too, or have seen them, been on site where children are just maybe in that form of encouragement, like the Puerto Rican woman. But imagine these little ones who have been struggling with our children who have struggled with COVID or any sort of, we have another tropical storm that's coming in. This impacts families. This impacts children. Impact our senior, vulnerable population. So, with that said, you've been a hero, and you're still a hero since the childhood.
Well, and I think one of the things, and it's funny that we're talking about this, just as you were talking, I was reflecting back of, I think anybody in the community can be a hero, right? Because if I looked at myself, right, there was a store, Beto's Drive-In, and Mr. Ramirez, he was just a great guy, and he was a hero to us. Like, hey, you know what? When I got accepted to U of H, and he knew I was poor, grew up in government housing. He's like, here's some money, man, go to school. Coach Fuerte, who was just, he took me in and, hey, helped me fix my car before I came in. All that acts of kindness on them automatically, because you never know, right? Like you just never know who needs it. So I think at the end of the day, the whole community can be a hero to children. I think teaching those values, like my tata, he was a garbage man, right? But I learned more from that than anything else, right? You learn about hard work, you learn how to save money, you learn there's a big difference. My nana used to say, there's a big difference between being poor and dirty, right? Keep your room clean. So there's all these things that now you grow up and you catch yourself saying the very same things that they were told. So I don't think, I think the definition of hero to me is just that one person who nobody might know, but they make a difference in your life, right? For the positive.
That's right. We can always be someone's hero.
Yeah.
Right? We have to have that hero mindset. And, I know Hero had started, I made mention to you, during the COVID time in 2021. I came out of the corporate America. And I had prayed. I said, okay, where am I going? And just open up a door. I'll do a little bit of travel. And it was because it was right after Harvey. And then 2018, the school district opened up. And I'm like, wow, the lack of leadership, what's going to happen here? Like there's no, not a significant amount of programs, leadership programs, mentorship programs. So it was like, okay, we're just going to have to develop. And then I was later transferred to elementary, where this is where COVID happened. And in speaking to the little ones, they were just depressed. Their mind, I talked to Victor all this. I remember when I couldn't even talk about it because I would cry.
You would make us cry.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd start to cry, and I just start talking to people, and it just literally hit me, because listening to these stories of the little ones during the COVID time, they were losing grandmothers. They were losing parents, no work. And we had one little one that said, I don't want to just live anymore, Miss Cruz. And so that right there just tugged at my heart. So 3 years in the school district, and later went into the seniors, and finding that it was the same, mindset, and where depression and, there was such a lack in these communities. And I was telling Victor, I've been in the community with the homeless community for over 20 plus years, working in the Houston area for about 24, well, almost let's see, 24 years here with seniors in hospitals and just touching every segment or facet of needs out there. And you find that everywhere. Like they said, where did you start? I said, just go into hospitals, listen to people in the streets. And then now it's like, when I asked God, I said, where do I go? He said, train the little ones. Leave the investments. You heard me in the conversation with Gilbert Garcia earlier. It was like, leave all that and go create heroes. Because when our days, right? I mean, I don't want to disclose our ages, unless you guys want to. I mean, we can.
No, I'm good.
What is it where we are? I'm going to ask you, where we were then to where we're at now. What do you see?
You mean growing up? And I mean, you know, and here's the crazy thing that I look back and I really enjoyed it. As hard as it sounds, I enjoyed the because I didn't know any better. I didn't know I was poor until I came to Houston, right? What do you mean you all have your own cars, right? When I went to University of Houston,
Now he has a driver.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't know that, right? But you know, again, it was, and I learned something that it's not the size of the house that makes a family, but it's the family that makes the home, right?
Right.
So I learned all that, and it made me more resilient because, you know, when we have the power outages, what we just had, I mean, you're talking to a guy that for 3 months, his senior year, that we didn't have any electricity because we couldn't afford it, right? We were living out of an ice chest and, you know, candles. But that was just the way of life. And then you come here, oh my God, we've been without electricity for 3 days. What do we do for 3 hours, right? So it made me resilient, but where I am now, and I do think as a father, it's hard right now, right? I mean, we never had the problems right now. Back then, it's like social media. We didn't even have computers, right? You know, and now I'm really aging myself. But we didn't, and I think right now it's a lot. I see where I am now and back then and now. I mean, like I can say I've been blessed, right? And God really watched over me, and like Nana used to say, man, you're very fortunate because I think you and I talked. I said, you know, growing up, I made the devil smile a lot. Right? It was like, but I was just a kid with no direction.
Yeah.
So finally, I got someone who really became my hero.
Yeah.
And invested, which costs nothing, which is love and how to be a person, how to be a good person.
Yeah. That's it. Victor, I know you have any questions?
Sure. I would like to ask you, as you reflect on your life, what were some of those guiding principles that were constant? You've already mentioned a couple of them.
Yeah.
That our viewers can learn from this in raising children, in raising adolescents, that they're going through some of those rough patches that our chief went through.
You know, that's I guess it was one of those where you just knew, or I knew that there was better, and I think it was education.
Okay.
Education. You know, it was like Tata used to like, hey, you want to know why he's a doctor? Why? Because he studied. You want to know why he's successful? Why? Because he never did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You know, you want to know, and he used to tell me that everything easy comes hard at first,
Yes.
right? The studying. I didn't like studying.
Yeah.
You know, I was a remember I was just, and I just really blossomed after my first degree. I was like, man, I gotta improve my grades, right? But then I think it was just knowing that that Tata used to tell me, life is easy. You got two choices, a good and a bad. That was it.
Keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. Look, you know, and if you're gonna be good at something, if you're gonna do something in life, enjoy it. But I think deep down they instilled that in me, that he would encourage me or challenge me. Why do you think they're there?
Yeah.
You know, and he taught me that education has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with desire. He taught me that that you would say money doesn't buy you happiness, right? It doesn't buy you peace. It just buys you things, right?
Yeah.
And so those type of things that I think it was just people around me that really, really showed me that and he used to tell me in Spanish, some of your problems are self-induced, right? And so
We complicate life.
we complicate life. We do.
Yes.
It's just like, he used to tell me, dime con quién te juntas y yo quién eres. Tell me who you are. Tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are, right?
Correct.
So it was like, oh my God. But I think, I think that was it. Just work hard, believe, and look for better, That,
We're real big on creating a community.
Village.
That's what the HERO program and the HERO network is about, is creating that safety net as a community to care for the child, to bring the resources, to bring the agencies, to bring the education, because I totally concur with you. Education is king.
Right.
Education is king in lifting ourselves up to be able to be self-sustainable and a contributing member to society.
Correct.
One of the things that I learned, and automatically when you say education, it's like one of the things Tata would tell me all the time. Hey, I'm not telling you go be a doctor or surgeon.
Yeah.
Just get something that hey, I got this, that I can do this, right? And he would show that, and it was just these little life lessons that I see. And that there was a friend of mine who's very successful. He started off laying tile.
Yeah.
But he learned that trait, and then finally he's like, why am I working for this guy? Let me just start my own company. Now he's like very successful because he did that. But Tata would say, hey man, educate yourself no matter what it is.
That's right. That's right.
Educate yourself.
Your Tata sounds like a sage.
Shit,
And
man.
Tata's your dad or grandpa?
No, he's a person that took me in.
Oh, okay.
Took
Your
me
Tata,
in.
yeah.
He took me in. He was that guy who he took me in. I'll just say it like that. He's that special. I had my dad, good man, but Tata was that person who, that special guy who taught me.
I had a Tata. Did you
I
have
think everybody has that special
Tata or
mother or
Nana?
father.
Growing up, no, it was just my dad. I couldn't think of anyone else. Now, I did have an uncle that, always made me smile. He's very special to me. But I really didn't get to see him because he was incarcerated most of his life, 20
I had a
years.
little German Tata that says, Victor, get good grades and I will reward you with money for every A that you make. That was it. That's all it took for me to chart a straight A path.
Well,
Yeah.
but I think all of us have one of those special people in our lives.
Absolutely.
Coach Fuerte, who was like, and then you know who they are because,
Right.
Yes.
like, and Father's Day, you
Yes.
feel compelled. Happy Father's Day,
Absolutely.
Happy Mother's Day, right?
Absolutely.
Those are the things that and again, everybody can be. Those are my heroes, right? The people
Yeah.
that took me in. And
We don't have to
showed me
wear a cape to be a hero.
Exactly.
Just
we
be a
don't-
hero.
Yeah,
Just be a hero.
Just be a hero.
Now, let's go back into the heroes that you have. I know you made mention, okay? We're going to talk about, what you've evaluated. Of course, you're lacking a full team. You said 600.
No, yeah, we're needing 600. Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to talk about those heroes because one question that I had asked for you, I said, do you have a fire academy volunteers or anything like that? Do you?
So right now, so a couple of things, right? On this, actually, right before I came here, we signed a contract with the union on what that's going to look like, the hiring process. But I always say that the mayor always says something that, the firefighters are the best advertisement for us, right? They are, and then of course with the community. What we do for you and open those doors, those opportunities, like right now to talk about how we're the third largest department in the country, how, we're bringing back, or, our new command staff that I've chosen is so dedicated, it's unreal, right? It is not that they haven't in the past, but they just have that heart, that passion for wanting this fire department. And I think that the biggest thing that I've noticed is now they understand that everything we do is compassion. Think about it. Every time we wake up in the morning is to make sure that we're ready for a person's worst day, right?
Yes.
And so that's why, and again, I keep on talking about, Mayor Whitmire, but he pushes that compassion. Make sure you take care of the community. Make sure that we're there, that we're exposing ourselves to, hey, this is what we do. This is we're here for you. And I've always, one of the firefighters said, I think in our organization, no matter who you are, what you are, where you come from, like that emergency never stops us, right? We don't care what your
Right.
beliefs are. We go into that burning building, we go into that car, we go in and start doing that. And we never ask questions, we just go in, right?
That's
And
right.
every day. And just 9/11's coming up on Wednesday, and I was remembering where I was, that, people would say, you guys are crazy, you run into burning buildings where people are running out, right?
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah,
You
so.
were there. Talk to us about that since 9/11's coming. Is there anything you can share about that?
Well, no, I remember where I was. I had gotten off the station, and then I remember my phone rings. Just, are you watching this? And I just happened to turn on news break, and I'm like, wow. I'm thinking, man, the pilot must have committed an error. And right as I'm watching it, and I'm on the phone, I still remember who I was on the phone with. He's actually on the staff now. And then the second plane hits, right? And you're like what is happening? It still was a lot to process. And I was already in the reserve side, and then I get a call saying, hey,
Get ready.
we don't know what's happening. We're going to cut your orders when you get here. Just start. And so I remember I took off to Beaumont, and then we started the process there, and the rest, it was like all just shut down. It was something, but I realized that day that that it might have bruised us, but never broke us, right? If anything else, the country that we have is so, the flag that we have is so resilient, Saturday I ran that Travis Manin 9/11 run, and just to see that, people still
Yeah.
who we are. Obviously it's changed things in our world and in our country, but I think, in the firefighters, there were 343 lost, right? I was talking to New York firefighters, like there were stations that they never came back.
Wow.
You had whole crews die.
Wow.
But that's who we are. That's what we do. And those are the heroes too that, they go out there and now with the new sense of direction, these guys are opening the stations to children, right? They're like, hey, looking at instigating programs where, they can come to the station for a day or during a week for an hour and do the tutoring and those type of things, but we could start giving back to the community.
Absolutely. Well, we welcome you anytime, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I want to start
Your
like
team.
that.
Yes.
That's how-
Yeah, we're going to drop off. We took off last month, or where were we at? That we took the babies, or the babies took power rings over to the police station. So just let us know where you're at, so we get our heroes, drop off some rings over to your guys, and we want them to get exposed and have that awareness.
We're working with that too. I think those are the things that now, as I'm restructuring things, that's one of them. How do we give back, other than just during your worst times?
Yeah.
You don't have to call 911 for us to give
Correct,
back, right?
correct. Now, real quick, Chief, let's go into the needs that you were talking about. We want the viewers to listen to this. If you are aware of anyone that's kind of looking for an opportunity to become a fireman, what are those positions that you have open that you're like hardcore and pressing?
Well, right now, obviously, we're looking for firefighters and who are EMTs. Then they go into the paramedic program, right? So we're looking at hiring. We have a shortage of 600, and so with that, like I know we just started talking to some of the local community colleges, Houston Community College, Lone Star, Wharton, that they have these fire schools. We're trying to do those partnerships where they come in. First of all, the minimum requirements, 15 college, credit hours. A lot of the high schools now have students who are graduating with dual credits. So we're targeting that. But right now, the Houston Fire Department's needing firefighters, who then become EMTs and paramedics. And once you do that, you can promote. And then whether it's to the arson bureau, to inspector, to all these other areas of specialization that you can go into. We got the hazmat teams, special rescue. We just have so many opportunities within the Houston Fire Department. And we're excited because, in I guess a little less than maybe 2 years, we're looking at the World Cup coming to Houston. We got the World Classic. We got so much that goes on in Houston that people don't know that, or know that the Houston Fire Department's always has their hands on as far as the major special events. So it's a lot of opportunity for us.
So what is the minimum requirement?
18 and 15 college credit hours.
15 college, 18 and 15. Okay, no.
And it's great because I go visit stations. I'm actually having dinner at one of them tonight, and I see these young Okay, so what happened? At high school, I had 15 college hours. They came and talked to me. I went in, and now I'm 21 and been with you all going on 3 years. I'm like, wow, for 21, and could retire in 20 years. So it's a great deal.
Okay. Victor, you have any questions?
Sure. Obviously, our show is going to go throughout the nation, and you're open to receiving resumes from other municipalities?
Come on. Yeah, please. Great question, Victor. Yeah, so we also have those programs where if you're already a firefighter and have your certifications, we call fast track. You just come in, and it's just a process, and then you come on in. And
they can go apply online?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
hfdcareers.org. That's hfdcareers.org.
HFD?
Yeah,
Okay.
careers.org.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if you're already certified, come on over, and yeah, we call the fast track. You just do some things at the Houston Fire Department, what we call Houstonize, right? You come
Sure.
in, and then
the ethos of be somebody.
Yeah.
right.
Be
Houston,
someone,
right?
yeah.
Be somebody.
Come be somebody
Yeah.
in the Houston Police Department.
Yeah, Houston Fire.
Fire.
That's Noe. That's
Fire.
Noe, right?
Yeah. That's
Noe.
Noe. No, right now we've got to hire here,
Yeah, we gotta hire
Because what
here.
are Noe's qualifications? Do they have to have a degree to be a police
I think
officer?
They do. I don't know. As much as I talk to them, you think I would know, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering what that is. We need
But
to
I'm-
find that out. But in the meantime, what we need to do is find 600
Yes.
firemen,
firefighters, yes.
dedicated ones that are not afraid. That's a huge thing. I mean, I know that I served, just as you did in the reserves, and people said, why do you serve? And we make it very clear, and that's what the HERO program's about.
Yes.
Is teaching respect, to respect differences, to respect themselves and set those boundaries, and to understand children. It's okay to say no. But in this situation, just like yourself, you hit it. You said so much that, but you hit it right on the nail. It's like when you served.
Yes.
Vicki, you made me ask the question now. Is there a female firefighter?
Absolutely. We got female firefighters.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Female
Oh, yeah.
firefighters. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was just actually doing, I'm going to put out a diversity statement.
Okay.
We respect everyone, everything, everybody who works for us, civilian, any workforce. Within our organization, and those are the key things that we look at a lot too.
Correct.
Houston, female firefighters are definitely an intricate part of our department, and we all work together. But at the end of the day, when you get the badge and you get the patch, it's the same patch, and
But to be a part of the EMS team, though, do you have to be degreed or just anything like that?
No,
Any
it's
sort
just
of
once you get
certificates?
in, so you get in, and then you get your commissions, and then you go to EMT school, and and then there's a paramedic school route too. And I got to say that our paramedics are, the best in the world. When you look at our paramedics, and obviously that's just the level of training that they get. We actually have first-year doctors that are doing emergency medicine trained with our medics, on the intubation, and so it's really a lot of work that they do. But it's a lot. It's a great career.
Your last comment, Chief, made me think about Houston being the third largest city that is subject to natural disasters and crises. Talk about how the fire department has a specific protocol for addressing any kind of threat within the city.
Great question. So one of the key things is that, we train, right? As a prior, acting director of Homeland and deputy director, we look at everything. We look at special events. We treat them as potential events, right? Natural disasters, those are the things, we're very prone to flooding and so forth. So we have high water rescue teams. This morning I was coordinating with them. Actually today at 3:15 we're meeting again to see what coordinated calls we're going to have with that. That's just a natural side, right? On top of the daily house fires and accidents and stuff. Never a dull moment. And then we have the special events, that we have special teams that train. Then we plan and all the major events and equipped, whether it be the Houston Hazmat. Presidential visits, we're always coordinating with presidential visits. The Republican National Convention is coming in 2028. So there's all these things that we're just involved in that people don't, I think they think it's just going into a house fire. There's so much more.
Oh, absolutely.
So much more
Got to
that we
stay
do.
ready.
so much more that we do. And again, it's the third largest city in the country. And, you know, we're the third largest department in the country. Well, technically they say fourth largest city in the country. Yeah, I'm going to say third. But we are the third largest
I believe
department.
that, too.
I don't think we really
are,
know. Yeah.
You know, the
Very
most diverse city in the country.
Yeah.
Got all California here.
Yeah. No, and we are the third largest department in the country. A lot of history with it. A lot of great men and women, you know, work with us, and just great. You know, we have a couple of people have gone on to medical school. We have a couple of lawyers that work with us. So it's very, very diverse background.
So we're excited. We're excited to have you lead the fire, you know, lead our city. I mean, can you imagine that? The third largest city, and you're here. You're like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, all of a sudden it's like, you're your place, and it's like, it's okay. You've got enough. I just telling him, I said, hey, I don't think you were put here to start fire. I mean, to put out fires. You're here to start the fires.
Yeah,
and then
right.
let's kind of, you know, we're
No.
chasing you. We're following you.
You know that saying, as goes Houston, so goes the country. So,
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
You know, you asked me an earlier question to where I started and where I am now. I mean, it is, it's humbling.
yes.
You know, growing up in the barrio and government housing to this now. And I always tell people I hate when people say can't be done, because
Right.
I'm like, just watch this, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the mentality that but again, it's all to those people in the community, the heroes, right? What was taught to me. That's a very important foundation.
That's right. And what would you tell a hero right now? If there's a child right now that's 13, 14 years old, and that is just, you know, looking for some sort of direction, or, you know, just anything, your encouraging words, what is it that you would want Houston to know and or this child to know?
You know, I guess I gotta say, in a positive way, that know yourself, know that good is out there, right? It's not where you're at now, but wherever you're at now, you can work hard to better. I think making the right choices. You know, like I was taught, there's two choices: the wrong and the bad and the good, right? I think the biggest one is invest in yourself too. Invest. I always tell my two boys the accountability mirror. Like, look in the mirror and are you holding yourself accountable for what you do? But I think with that, just believe. I think, and sometimes those people that say it can't be done internally, so this true story, people would tell me I couldn't, you know, we've talked.
Yeah.
And I would purposely write their names down, like when I was studying and I felt like giving up. Oh, okay, you know what? And it's almost my way of saying, like, I guess, eat your words, right?
Did
Yeah.
you carry those names in your wallet?
Well, look, I'm going to tell you. Let's just say they're up here, right? And there's 3 names that I write down every time I was studying. It's
They
like,
could only see me now.
And I wanted to quit, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to remember, right?
Wow.
And
that's
that was my
good.
driving force, man.
That's right.
I got a teacher when I was a kid. True story. I was so poor that that we used to go to Big Bend, right? And I got up and somebody says, hey, you didn't give him a form to fill out. And it costs money, right? And I'll never forget, in front of the whole class, she says, it doesn't matter, he can't afford it anyway, right?
Wow.
And I'll just say last name, I don't think she's around anymore, Santiago. So every time my boys come over and they say, Dad, there's a kid at school, does it pass the Santiago rule? It does, Dad. So now what I do is I'll sponsor those children. It's like if there's a football camp or a baseball camp, and I bring them over and I just like, hey man, just, you know, they'll come in, how can I thank you? Just be a good person.
Yeah.
You know?
Paying it forward.
Paying it forward. That's it. So I think, you know what, just sometimes I always say listen to the right things.
Correct.
Not the negativity. I think
That's right. Victor talks to the kids about that all the time, about
Listen
the
to
inner
the right
critic,
things.
right?
Yeah, we have, the science says that we have 10 inner critics, that they're defense mechanisms that help us survive.
Right.
And so I tell them, it's like if an inner critic is saying, you can't do it, talk back to that inner critic and say, yes, I can. And we had one little boy that came back after the STAR test, says, I talked to my inner critic and I told him I can't pass this test. He was all excited. I think you did.
Yeah, he
No,
did.
you do. Or write down names. I did, right?
Like you,
There you
right?
go.
Right down
There
the
you go.
name.
Okay, I remember this one. remember
I
that.
do tell some clients, you can give those critics a name so that no, Johnny is like, I got this.
Yeah, no, you got it. I think, and it's crazy because those, those naysayers are my motivators, right?
Yeah.
Those are my motivators. Okay, just
I
hold
know.
up.
I told you my motivator.
Yeah.
You know, at 17,
Yeah.
I hadn't even been to school in 2 months.
What did you tell us, Vicky? Because that's a very inspiring story.
Do tell, Vicky.
Yeah.
Do tell,
us.
Vicky.
I mean, for some reason, when I got into high school, it was like, you know, I mean, I was honor roll, and up to the high school was like, man, I developed just it was a whole different beast. Well, anyway, at the age of 17, I should have been that year a senior, but I was a junior, so I was short some credits. And anyway, I was pregnant. I was running away for about 4 or 5 months or such. I came back home with, my mom didn't know though. And so, but I was sick. She would take me to school. She would drop me off, and I'd go into Milby High School, walk in one door, and then just wait first period, just sick in the restroom. And then after first, I'd take off for 2 months. Mom didn't know. Well, one day, Mr. Morgan catches me on the side of Woodruff Street, and he says, "Where are you going?" I want to write a book. Woodruff, where are you going? So I'm right there, and I was like, I'm going to Melissa's house. He's like, "What's that for?" And then I told him, he brought me into the office. He says, "Get to my office now, because you haven't been to school." And I'm like, "I haven't." And he's like, "Well, what's going on?" And I said, "I'm pregnant." And he's like, "Well, you're going to have to tell your mom." Well, he goes, "I have to call your mom. You decide when you want to tell her." But what he told me was, "Do you want to be another Mexican on welfare?" And it just literally I don't know, just challenged me. I was like, "What did you say?" You know, and it's not that for anything. It's because, I mean, I did. I mean, I was raised around seeing, I probably had a few uncles and families who made bad decisions and stuff. And so I started just really evaluating, saying, okay, I don't think anyone's ever graduated. I don't think. So at 17 years old, I said, "No, baby girl, you're going to do something, because there's no way you're going to have a child, bring this child into the world and not, you've got to prove this man wrong, for one." No, that's not really the reason. But it was like I had to just show. I was like, you know what? We can do this as a Latina, as a woman, and as a single mom. It's like I'm like you with 2 degrees, working on my THD too, because it's like it's possible. Anything is possible, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what I would tell the listeners or the viewers out there and the children, is like, anything is possible.
And viewers, there's more to the story because I actually know it. She went on to graduate top of her class.
Honor roll.
That was it. She became dedicated, and she ends up graduating
with
top of
honors.
her class with honors, and the rest is history.
Yeah, with honors, and then a scholarship from Warren Moon. And then I was like, it wasn't a big significant amount, but it was enough to say, I have a brain and I can do something else. So I went to school, went to tech school, married a veteran, took off, came back to Houston in 1999. But the rest was history. That was my story. And then,
I think what you say is history. Is like I always tell my boys, what's going to be your legacy, right? We all have a chapter, right? Each book. How do you?
Exactly.
And people, it's like I tell you sometimes, I train myself to sleep like 4 hours a day, right? So it's like I told people, it's like God gives you 24 hours a day. Use them wisely. Use them wisely, right?
Exactly.
But life is good. I think like my tata say, it's self-induced, man. Whatever you want. But no, I think I'm very excited to, very, very humbled and blessed. Every morning I tell God, thanks for giving me more than what I deserve, right?
Exactly.
He does. It's great.
I'm always excited thinking like, who am I going to meet today? What's going to happen? Because every day I had somebody just call me right now. I've got somebody from Bluebell, and I'm like, bring them on with a gallon of ice cream.
Bring them
Rocky
on.
Road. I said, bring that Rocky Road. He goes,
Rocky Road, that's my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I was like, I said, bring him on. I said, where is he at? He's like, well, he's an executive, and he wants to hear about the Hero Program. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, what's going to happen next? And I'm sure you do. With the new position comes new people, new everything. Like, hey, so I'm excited for you. This is opportunity time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely going to take full advantage of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so any questions here you have?
I got a couple other questions, Chief. Other than what you've shared with us, how do you plan to inspire and lead your department, your department, and
That's a good
and all the firefighters that you are now in charge of?
Inspire. That's a good one. I think so when I first got here, it's I think everybody's heard it, that morale was low. Morale was
Yes.
low, right? And how do you gauge morale, right? And I think it was the equivalency of value. If someone doesn't feel valuable, then obviously morale is going to be low, right? And that was the first thing is, like, look, and so some of my emails and letters, or when I write out to the department, I say we got you, because there was such a long time where, what are we doing? Bringing the value of what they bring back. And they asked me if that was part of my strategic plan. I said that shouldn't be part of a plan. That should be a given.
Absolutely.
And to inspire is just that, like, again, whether it be an internal story of what we did, I think the inspiration comes on showcasing our fire department, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, God, we do so much. Like, some of the things that our men and women do is just amazing, that sometimes go unnoticed. And I think giving back to the community, every community here in the city has a fire station, right? I talked earlier about inspire them enough to give back to the community where that child can go in there for that safe haven.
Yes.
And say, hey, like, look, let's just go in there for an hour, right? And just tutor. Or, the one thing that bothered me, and I'm really looking into this, is every time summer school comes around, when summer comes around, I was reading that there's some children that just don't eat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
And those are the things that, how do we work together to get that compassion piece? I think now we have an administration that now we can, hey, do what we have to do, right? I think it's, we're moving forward with that. But the inspiration comes in, again, being that, knowing that, and I'm not, and I don't say it just to say being that world-class organization that we're going to be the model again for other cities to come and look at what is Houston doing?
Oh, can you imagine? Yeah.
What is Houston doing? How did they get there, right?
Yeah. And my final question is, what message do you want to send to children that are going to be watching you as a leader in the city? What message and what legacy do you want them to understand that you're building now?
I could say, definitely do the right thing, right? But I think I'm stuck with the word believe.
Believe?
Believe that, again, it's not where you start,
Yeah.
but it's where you finish.
You're
right?
singing our song, Chief.
I mean, I always look around the corner and see what's better. I think, and just in a nutshell, I was told I wouldn't be able to read, I wouldn't be able to run. I was supposed to be a statistic, right, according to every model out there that they ever did. And then here I am, and I think it's one of those that I've always said, don't ask yourself why you can't, but ask yourself why not, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And those are things like, why not? And why not you?
I want you to know, Chief, that your message that you shared with us today will always stick with me about how your mentality is. You always prepare to face someone that is going to have their worst day in their life. That is so powerful and so much to unpack there.
Correct.
It almost gives me the chills. But think about it, Vicki. Think about when we go into working with children, when we go into schools. My mind went to that little boy that
You asked.
that we don't know what sort of trouble he had that day or he's had for weeks. A little disruptive, what would you say, 5-year-old, 4-year-old? That he was very disruptive at an elementary we went to. Afterwards, we found out the history that there was a good reason why he was. So it's like when we can go there in just a little context, viewers, Vicki and I just grab them emotionally and physically and just love bomb them to understand and make them feel that it's okay. It's like, we got you. And the little time that we spent, Vicki, I saw him positively respond and open up to us.
Absolutely.
And that's the impact that we can have every day in our community because we don't know what the other person is facing. We don't know what struggles they're faced with. when we're so focused on ourselves that we forget about our fellow man.
Yep. And what's going to stick with me, and what he talked about, was in Puerto Rico asking
Yes.
the woman,
Yes.
hey, what can I do for
Yeah.
you? Because that's not asked, often.
Yes.
Right? How many times do we get asked that, hey, are you okay? Especially in
Yeah.
the position you're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
The positions that, we're in, it's like, hey, are you okay? Hey, do you need anything? And even with little ones, I
Yeah.
mean, we as adults, we need to keep our mindsets on what little ones, how they channel it, because right now the desensitization of having a cell phone, tapping
Yes.
into their emotions, or being
Yes.
able to communicate or articulate, and it's just,
Look at the little children, Vicki, that come up to us when we provide that, when we teach Hero, and they come up to us, they just want to give us a hug. They're giving us, okay? They're not asking for a hug, they're giving us because that's their nature. That's
Yeah.
the nature of children,
Simple.
to be spontaneous, to be loving, to be peaceful. And it's just, that's priceless
Yeah.
to me.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I remember I made earlier that she would hug me every day. I'm like, why you hug me out? She goes, I'm making up for 13 years, right? And it's a lesson, or it's like I say, it's a language that's taught,
Yes.
right?
Oh, it is.
Love and
Love,
respect. It's a love language that you teach them, and those are things that you just have to. And you'd be surprised. We look at all this, and I look at my sons, and like there's so much ugly in this world that
Yes.
I know that we have to make. I always say, what if there was one day that somebody just chose to be kind
Yes.
all around?
National Kindness Day or something.
It's National Kindness Day. Just say hello to someone. Just
Yeah, we have
whatever.
one here in Houston. But yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? It could happen right
Yeah,
now.
well, let's do it.
Effective Watchers, we're making it today, every day,
Be nice-
365
be nice to
days
someone
is
today,
Kindness
right?
Day,
There you go.
right?
Houston strong.
Exactly,
Houston
Houston Strong. So, Chief, we want to thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do.
No, for being here, and we just bless your endeavors, bless you, your team, the Houston Fire Department, the vision that you're doing. We just know that it's gonna go well. And I mean, you're being led by, our mayor, John Whitmire,
Yeah,
who
he's
thinks the
awesome.
world of you. And so, Houston, we thank you so much for watching. Victor, for being here. Gracias. And so, listen, follow us on mission1usa.com. Share it. This is about together. Together, we can do more. Together as a unity, we thank you for the partnership that we have with the fire department. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Un abrazo.
Yeah, thank you. So, watchers, listen, join us for our next episode. We have so much impact for you, and we just cannot wait to share the resources, to share education, most importantly, the hope that together, Houston, we are strong. And Houston, we can do anything. We've done it. We've proven it. Let's just continue to just be someone.
Thank you for watching the Hero Network. This episode was brought to you by Escalate Performance Solutions, your partner in growth and success. To find out how we can help elevate your organization, visit us at weescalate.com.